welcome back to Rage Against the Regime podcast. This is your host, Becky Williams. I just have a real quick sound bit. No real rage today. Had a meltdown yesterday, extremely furious. For those that I may have offended, sorry that you're wearing your feelings on your sleeves. For those who heard the message and understood the anguish and the anger, thank you for understanding that. And I know you're my true brothers and sisters, and you're as outraged as I am. I have, I believe, figured out what's going on with this race war, the demonization of our police departments, the execution of our police officers. I believe I understand exactly what's going on. If you want to win a battle, you need to know your enemy. If you want to succeed when attacked, you have to be able to defend, be defensive, but with wisdom. You have to feel out what your opposition is doing. You have to analyze why they're doing what they're doing and what is the benefit. And I believe that I have figured this out, folks. And I'm going to try to keep this really brief for you today, because if it's too lengthy, people won't take time to listen to it. So I really need you guys to hear what I'm saying. And then I'm going to ask you comments. So when I post this up, after you've listened to the broadcast, please, let's have some discussion on that thread. If you wouldn't mind, I would like your input, your thoughts. See if maybe I'm thinking in the right direction. But I believe I'm going to be correct on this. We know that that this administration has caused all of it. They have actually propagated what is being done to see that their agenda comes to fruition. And we know that they started it out from the minute that he was announced as a candidate. They really pushed the black man in the office agenda. I'm going to repeat this one more time. He's not from Kenya. He is not a black man. He is Middle Eastern. If you look up genealogy and the characteristics of certain individuals and races around the world, the purple lips is a dead giveaway. The tint to his skin and his lips, his facial features, are a dead giveaway. Don't let the curly, nappy hair throw you off. Many Middle Easterners have, depending on what region they come from, have that particular type of hair. But the oligarchy, the elite have done this with purpose. They put him in, and they seated him, and they want these fools who had never been to a voting booth before in their life, these pavement apes, to believe that their man was in office now, and they were going to get everything they ever dreamed of. And they've been brought up with hatred and been lied to for over 150 years, that they were enslaved, they were beaten, they were the only ones hung, they were the only ones that have suffered oppression. Simply not the case. The entire time that they've been training their foot soldiers up for this lie and instilling them generation after generation with ignorance and hatred, the whole time that they've been shouting oppression, we're the ones who've been oppressed. The whole time that they've been saying, we're killing them, the fact of the matter is they're attacking us out of the hatred of a false history that has been given to them generation after generation. So understand where the hate come from. The hate came from the oligarchy. Lincoln was a dictator. He was a liar. He was a thief. He was an oppressor. And he and the regime at the time, the banksters in England came up, and the Vatican came up with this great idea to take those soldiers who were well fit because they did work in the fields, and they came from a region that was much more challenging to the human body than the Europeans who were brought over here. There were more white slaves than blacks. We've beaten this horse to death. But we've been enslaved the entire time. We've been beaten into guilt. We've been forced to integrate with a society or a culture, a race that refuse to thrive even when given the same opportunities as the white Europeans. The fact of the matter is, we invaded, and I'm 1/4 Indian, American Indian, and 1/16 of another Cherokee breed. So I have quite a bit of Indian still in my bloodline, personally. Fact of the matter is, we all invaded this country. Those people were sold by their own people into slavery and then brought here by their own people and then enslaved by their own people here. But they have decided that Whitey is the demon, and it's been taught to them that that's the case. The response as a society that we've had and the division that we've had over 150 years has been because that type of mentality cannot assimilate. They cannot integrate with the rest of society. That's why they're so violent and they kill each other. There's census that will take us back to 1890 that will prove that what I'm stating is actual fact. And that's unfortunate because we have some very amazingly beautiful black brothers and sisters out there who are accomplished. And even those that are not accomplished, but they're decent human beings. They're good Christian people who have trained their children up with values, and they haven't gotten on that woe is me bandwagon and ridden the welfare train into oblivion. So back to the beginning of what I was trying to state, and I really wanted to paint you a picture so that you understand that we have a serious issue here, and we need a call to arms. We need a call to action, to be quite honest. We need someone like Boykin or one of the other retired military individuals, good Christian men and women out there that know full well the very truth of what's happened and what's going on as far as communism and Islam being the same thing essentially, and the foot soldiers that are destroying us right now in America and who's put them up to it. So I believe I figured it out. Pardon me. They started the whole thing with the black man, first black man in office. Well, I got news for you folks out there. I'm so sorry. You can't ride that glory train anymore. He's not black. And even if he were, he's half white, half black. But he's not. He's Middle Eastern. So, and he's also foreign. He should never have been in this position, but there was an agenda. This is the final phase of taking America down. This is the final chapter for America, for the greedy that are around the world that are just but a few thousand who honestly need to be drawn and quartered. They need to be arrested. They need to be held accountable for the crimes against humanity. The entire UN is nothing more than the strong arm for the Nazis and the Muslims. They really need to be dealt with. And how do you do that? Well, you shut them down from the bottom up. And that's what we're going to have to do. So our government and George Soros, who in 1966 vowed to take America down. He promised he would. And if you know who George is and you've traced all of his financial connections with groups and organizations that the oligarchy put in place, like Acorn and community organizers, and even the convention for Article 5, he's sunk millions of dollars into. Well, he also sunk millions of dollars into these protests, both the Hispanic protests that we experienced and the La Raza movement, as well as the protests with these pavement apes that are running around killing people and professing to genocide the whites and videotaping their assaults on white people of all ages. And inciting murder and violence. This is terrorism. This is war. The minute they took their first life executed their first police officer by incitement. This is war, and all parties in leadership are guilty of accessory to that capital murder, and they should be held accountable just as much as the persons who pull the triggers. So I believe this is what they're doing. I keep hearing, my brothers and sisters out there saying, and there's a handful of them, it's not a lot. Scott Farello is one of them who continues to say that if we respond to war, because we're at war, this is not a threat, this is a fact, we are at war. A threat is whenever I tell you I'm going to kick your ass. An act of violence is whenever I go ahead and do it. Well, they've gone ahead and initiated time and time again the assaults and the murders. So I believe that they mean what they say because they're doing it. And that's an act of war. And it's not only an act of war on us against the whites in this country, but it's actually an act of war against the blacks as well. And these brown shirts would be the equivalent. These pavement apes are actually the brown shirts for the oligarchy. In its mirroring history, Obama said he would raise up a private army that was as powerful as the military, and it would be formed out of his agenda. So, and it has been. And it's in the likes of La Raza, it's in the likes of open borders, it's in the likes of the recent judgment by the Supreme Court Justice to pervert, once again, subjugate our Constitution, which was meant for citizens only concerning the Second Amendment. You can read it, it states that clearly. They've decided that the Constitution, once again, doesn't mean anything, so they've decided that all foreign invaders are entitled to bear arms in this country. They can't disarm us, so they're going to arm their army, if you will. Now, they've infiltrated this country with so many invaders and terrorists. They brought them in with purpose, and this is why. Japan said they would not invade America because behind every blade of grass was a gun, and there's no way they could come out victors. They have managed over the last 33 years to bring in over 100 million Muslims into this country. And I say bring them in, they probably have brought in about 50 to 70, but they breed like cockroaches, and that's part of the plan to take over the planet, if you know anything about Islam. It's to conquer the entire world. In order to do that, even though they're dying and killing each other at a rapid rate over in the Middle East, they're producing more offspring than they're killing. And right here in America, they're not dying off. They're continuing to breed here like cockroaches, and it is with purpose, by the way. And they're on every benefit, regardless of the multi-million-dollar business that's been handed to them. They're still on every benefit. They don't pay taxes for anything, and they don't pay insurance for any reason. Everything they get is free, and they've been given that. Because they are the foot soldiers for these end times. They've been given a purpose. They came here with a purpose. And the oligarchy and the communists that infiltrated our government since World War II have made absolute certain that they're in our universities, municipalities, they're in our government, they're in our agencies. They're in control of NASA now. They're in our military. They've infiltrated every crack and crevice while we weren't looking. And one of theirs sets as POTUS over this country, Commander-in-Chief, who thinks he's a king because he's been given that kingship. So, I believe that what they're going to do, Scott keeps saying, Becky, if we respond, they're going to call martial law, then all elections stop, and then blah, 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 he's going to be a dictator, and yeah. Well, he's already operating as a dictator, so whether the title's been announced publicly or not, he's operating as such. We are under martial law. It's a soft martial law. We're being held captive in our own country. The lawless are just like the brown shirts were in Europe during World War II that worked for Hitler, are being given a green light to go ahead and execute any opposition, i.e. white Judeo-Christians, and which has been what the Jesuits have been trying to do since before Christ was born. So we we have some serious problems here, because he's going to call martial law either way, and this is how clever these bastards are. The art of war they know well, because they create all war and they fund all war. Since the beginning of time, lineage connections to all of these bastards can be drawn up. They're appointed, and to some degree, there's sister, baby, mom's uncle, daddy, cousin, whatever. There's a connection there. There's a lot of ties there, and I'm not saying for all of them, but for a vast majority and that serve as the so-called government today, and they've been seated for far too long. The term limits are not there. They're very corrupt. They're very greedy. They're very evil people. They've given their souls to the devil for the monetary things in this life, and they care not for their future. But God will hold them accountable. I can assure you, He will. So what's going to happen, Scott? I'm gonna address Scott Ferrello because he's the one I keep having this conversation with, and I love you, brother, but I'm going to present something to you. So they demonize the police departments. They pay for all the protests. They've given a green light for them to genocide the whites. The news won't report anything that happens to a white individual. There was no outcries for the 5-year-old that the pavement apes walked up to the window of a house and shot the little white girl in the face who was sitting in her grandfather's lap. That was not big news. In fact, I don't recall even hearing it on Fox News Network. The baby in the stroller. 2 punk-ass pavement ape teens walked up to her and the mother and shot the baby in the stroller. A baby. Shot it right in the face. Point blank. These things are happening all over America. While they're crying out about us killing them, outside of police officers, I don't see a whole lot of white reports on whites killing blacks. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm saying that it's not a problem. It's a few bad people who do really stupid shit, like the shooter up in the church. I personally would like to get my hands on him myself, most of these mass murders, these false flags, supposedly, that happen, they're all liberals. They're actors, they're tools, they're liberals. 99% of it has been liberal individuals doing this. They're tools for this government to further the agenda to create a panic in the people. So, Scott, here's what I propose. I propose whether we do or we don't respond, this is what's going to happen. We already have police officers who won't answer the call when called upon on 911 because they're being ambushed. If it's an alley call or a suspicious call, burglary, no perp descriptions, things of that nature, isolated areas, these police officers now, they know that the government has created all this and they're not showing up to the call. Or if they do, they're getting executed. They're being ambushed and attacked. They're being executed. Or if it happens to be a black perp, they're losing their jobs, their families are being targeted, and God forbid they should have to defend their life or to stop a deadly perp in his tracks. If he's black, all hell breaks loose. Fact of the matter is that well over 2.5, I guess, was the number, 2.5 times white individuals were killed by police officers in America year before last. I don't know what the stats were last year. I quit keeping up with it. I probably should look it up. But the fact of the matter is, it wasn't mainstream media. It wasn't news. It's never news if it's a white man or a white woman losing their life. It's only news if a criminal, who, by the way, already had one count of, I think it was manslaughter or attempted manslaughter on him. I can't remember what it was. I'd have to look it up in his juvenile record. He tried to kill a cop and he gets killed, and then they memorialized this pig, this black bastard. His parents became famous overnight. They didn't even raise the kid because they were welfare riders, crackhead, dopehead, hooker, whatever, criminals, who dumped that child in the laps of their parents, the grandparents, and they couldn't control. I'm not saying they couldn't. I'm saying they couldn't or wouldn't control his behavior as a small child, and the end result of that was he was a dangerous person. He was a man. He wasn't a child. And he committed this crime, and all hell broke loose. And that's when we really started seeing some issues. That and the Trayvon Martin case, which is still very controversial. So they've been demonized by our own police departments. Their mayor, their boss, who's over their police chief in Baltimore, she needs to be hung publicly. I'd like to just drag her out and beat the hell out of her. I really would. Who tells their police department to stand down and let lawless individuals who didn't even know the person, has never had anything happen to their family individually, get out there and get paid to do what they did, and they burned down a city, and 100 police officers were injured that day who were told that they could not, or they would lose their job, defend the person, or defend anybody else for that matter, or the property. Those police officers are the final wall between society and the lawless. And I know we have some really bad cops out there, and I believe that they should be held accountable when they do commit homicide, when it's not in the line of duty and there was no other choice. But to use deadly force, that's completely different. But to say that Black Lives Matter while you're killing each other at a record number every weekend, everywhere across the country, is an oxymoron. So I believe this is what they're going to do, Scott. I know I keep saying that, and I keep getting off key, but I'm really trying to paint an understanding here. So they demonize the police departments. They fund the protests. The DOJ, Eric Holder, and by the way, Eric, you're going to be held accountable for all your shit, buddy. Just because you're not a DOJ anymore, we're gonna see to it that justice is brought, and it's going to be brought swiftly for your crimes against humanity and for your accessory to murder. Don't think that because you're not in the administration any longer that you won't be held accountable, because we intend to hold you accountable, all of you accountable, who's had your hand in this, including George Soros. This will no longer be your sanctuary country, George. Much like Europe, in which you avoid certain areas because they put a warrant out for you. We'll pick you up here. Okay, George? Just to let you know, your old ass is about to be done. But anyway, this is what they're going to do, Scott. We're going to have two choices: fight or die, or fight and die. Or don't fight and die anyway. Here's their big plan, in my opinion, watching what's going on. Nobody's holding accountable Farrakhan or Quanell X or D-Ray or so-called King Noble. By the way, you little pussy, I'm going to call you Princess. That's your new name, Princess. Princess. And you're not noble at all. We're going to call you Princess Piece of Shit. How about that? That's your new name. And Shabazz, you're going to be called Bullshit. That's your new name. Bullshit. And Nocturnus, we're just going to call you Dead Woman Walking, because you really paint a target on your head. There's a lot of people pissed off at you, but they're using the black people of that culture as soldiers, foot soldiers, just like Hitler used his army. So what they're going to do is the police department's going to get to this point. The policemen and policewomen out there are going to just quit answering the call altogether. They're going to throw their badges down, or all hell's about to break loose and they're about to go freestyle on these apes, these subhuman beings. That's what's going to happen. Martial law is going to come when that happens. Now, if we don't fight back and stand behind our police officers and stand up for the white race and stand up for the innocent black victims that are going to actually be killed because you have no way of identifying in the middle of a war, especially a race war, who's the good guy and the bad guy. So the the black brothers and sisters that can hear me out there, that follow this, that are conservative thinking, God-fearing, good-loving people, educated, who are training your children up not to be of that culture, we all need to stand together, because Obama and his regime are going to take this country one way or another. When the police step down and stop patrolling or keeping the peace in this country, they're the last line of defense, folks, between you and the lawless and your families. Then it's going to fall on your shoulders to become that soldier of justice. You're going to be the ones, and then for sure we're going to get martial law. Or we can stand up, go after the leadership, calling this, because this is war, and we have the right to respond to war, folks. This isn't a normal situation where we can't worry right now about being held accountable to the standards of law, because the rules of engagement by force will have to be taken by us against the oligarchy when we go after these people who have declared war on us. And we're going to have to put up the middle finger and go, fuck you and your corrupt law, motherfucker. You didn't go after them. So if you're coming after me, then we're going to fight you too. That's where we're headed. They're backing us into that corner. And we have tried desperately to find resolution. Now the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, who predominantly defend the black individual and don't give a shit about the white, they're now saying openly that Black Lives Matter is a hate group, and they're denouncing them. The sad thing is, I went to the ACLJ, I went to the ACLU, I went to the Civil Liberties Alliance, went to Miss Allred, and her partner turned me down flat. I've gone where I thought I could as a patriot, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a daughter, and a family member of y'all who listen to me. You're my family. And I tried to stand up for us, even though I knew it was going to paint a target on my head, for Farrakhan to come after me and his people, the Nation of Islam, and, Black Lives Matter and the Black Panthers and all their little thugs. I knew that was going to put my life in danger, but I did because I love you, and I love my country, and I love my family, and I loathe injustice, and I cannot stand people being mistreated or killed and executed. I can't stand it. My spirit won't allow me to tolerate it. And I know I come across really brash. I know yesterday I was extremely brutal. But somebody has to say the truth. And I say the truth. I just may not deliver it very well. And I know I don't when I'm angry. And once again, yesterday was... And I've received no backlash, by the way, on that. If people have abandoned posts, well, good riddance. I haven't noticed your absence today if you've abandoned post and you're no longer a part of this patriot family in my immediate circle, because I certainly invited people to get away from that. But back to you, Scott. I'm gonna address this, and I really hope that you interact with me on the thread. So here's what I think they've done. They've built up their army. That army has formed a coalition with the invaders and the La Raza and the Nation of Islam. And not just the Nation of Islam. I understand, I've been told several times that Farrakhan embraces Allah in the Quran, but he's like whatever that Mormon leader was, Brigham Young or whatever. He decided to write his own book, if you will, or adhere to his own policies, if you will, concerning Islam. He embraces something a little bit different, but he still calls it Islam. But nonetheless, the terrorists that are here are forming a coalition and recruiting the black youth in particular. We have idiots in the white race I'll go ahead and call them street apes too. I'll call them pavement apes because that's what they are supporting this genocide against whites because they're too ignorant to understand that that person they're walking beside is going to be called to execute them, whether they know, Rufus or not, and smoked weed with him and she screwed him or whatever. He's still going to kill her or him. He's going to kill him if it's his buddy, so he thinks, his wigger. It's going to happen. When they say extermination or genocide, that means everybody, and those people are not going to be immune to it. For the reporters in the mainstream media that are failing to report on this, crimes against humanity, for the UN who's not standing up for you, that tells you everything you need to know. Nobody's intervening, is what I'm saying. So the police are going to stop, they're going to back off, or they're going to just go apeshit and start shooting these little pavement creatures of Satan that are doing what they're doing. And martial law will be called. Or they'll continue to execute us, and they'll continue to execute the police force. And then what's going to happen is they'll call martial law. They'll turn on their brown shirts that have furthered the agenda, which gives them a reason to call martial law in the entire country, so the rest of the world thinks that it was warranted. You get it? I mean, that's really, truly what I think is going on here. So we've been backed into a corner. We've allowed this, by the way. I want to congratulate each and every one of us for allowing this to get this far. Everybody needs a dookie button for being an absolute idiot, me included. We've allowed this to get to a point where we're being pushed into a corner in a very real war against humanity, right here in America, on our own soil. And all the fools out there that said, well, we got to wait for the first shot, and we've got to do this, and we've got to play by this rule and that rule. That's nothing more than you being a coward. That's you claiming that you're trying to be lawful while you allow a war to be waged against your country and its people, and refuse to remove the tyranny, whether by force or by show of numbers. And if that's just too brutally honest for you, you too can take the door exit. I don't really care. That's a fact. You can reason with yourself all you want to. That is an absolute fact. First shot fired. We're not at war. Waiting for somebody to be voted out or voted in. Nothing changes. It only gets worse and worse. And people are losing their lives for it. And just because it didn't touch your family yet doesn't mean that it's not meant for you, because it is meant for you. Jade Helm, it's not a coincidence that this is escalating, and Jade Helm is set up all over the country. China's been hit, 3 different times, and other countries in the Orient with what they're now claiming to be nukes, and it certainly looks like one when the explosions go off. And they're saying that America is doing it. Well, I'm not. But when they come for us in retaliation for what's going on over there by the greedy bastards up in the District of Corruption, D.C., your family's going to die. The Iranian deal went through, your family's going to die. Or Obama is not only releasing terrorists, but he's funding things for these terrorists. And make no mistake, Farrakhan, Sharpton, Quanell X, Princess Pussyfoot, piece of shit, bullshit, dead woman walking, all of those people are the foot soldiers for this agenda. And either they know they are, or they're just too damn ignorant to figure it out. But they're getting paid to do what they're doing. They're not being held accountable by law. We're being called terrorists when we're trying to be a peaceful people and a lawful people. And we can no longer continue to allow them to be able to play dirty pool while we're trying to play by the law. Law is out the door right now because they're not being held accountable. And at some point you have to take your God-given right, not the law that is corrupted or written by man. You have to take your God-given right to defend your family and your friends and your country. Your existence is in the balance. So I think that's what's up, Scotty. I think that they're gonna call martial law either way we go. If we retaliate, they're gonna call martial law. If we don't retaliate, they're gonna call martial law. It's already set in place. We've got warships off the East Coast. We've had nuke subs from Russia in the Gulf, and Russian battleship off the Gulf recently. Today was a report of Chinese warships off the East Coast. I'm sorry, the Chinese ships were off of the coast of Alaska. They're doing war games, I think, on the East Coast. Just called all of a sudden. Supposed to be going through till October. We got huge things going on with the monetary system. But I'm of the opinion this has all been staged with purpose. The police have been abused and demonized with purpose. When there is complete civil unrest or lawlessness or war waged on the people in this country, and it gives him his illusion of validity to call for martial law. They're already positioned to do that. And we're dying in the streets and we're being attacked. And our brothers and sisters are being executed. Once again, all cops aren't bad. So, that's my formed opinion based on occurrences and incidents and analyzing the situation that we're in. Trying to find a resolution to get out of it without violence. We are at war. Our veterans need to step up. Our patriots and militia groups need to step up. Your first responders need to step up. You guys need to respond accordingly. We are at war. And the war has been waged on us not only by these thugs, but by our very own government who's orchestrated this. And that is their brown shirts. That is their equivalent of Hitler's very own military. So there you go. Please leave your responses on the thread. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let us all know. And let's engage in some constructive discussion and move forward from there. May God bless each and every one of you out there. Please be safe and be aware of your surroundings and watch your children. Don't just let them do the things that you normally let them do, like go to the mall on the weekend without being with them. I mean, we're being held captive now. Our way of life has changed, and that's unfortunate. We're not in a situation right now where we can live without looking over our shoulder, and shame on us for allowing that to take place in this country. Your freedom's already gone. Your life is in danger. So I will talk to you guys later. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another show. I probably will after this discussion. Terry Dodd is on tonight on Walls Within Your Mind. I posted that up. You guys might want to listen to that. We've got Red is going to be on there, and he's going to be talking about what happened in the churches and the political agenda that's been preached to the parishioners of the church. So that's going to be on at 7 p.m. tonight. Listen, I love each and every one of you. Thank you again for listening to this. Please share it with your friends. Engage them in some conversation, and let's find out what we need to do, America. But we damn sure can't sit here anymore. God bless you. Becky Williams signing off.